I know these. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're just jank.
Sometimes it's what you need. Oh, welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 21 Pernell. Where am I? Where are my notes?
Did
Pernell?
you actually forget the number?
I did.
You actually just made a joke about how it was 21-5.
21-5. I was going to say 6.
Yeah, because that was also related to the joke, but this one is -5.
This is 21-5 of Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast where we listen to great video game music of the past and the present, and we talk about it with each other.
You also said Fritham.
I say Fritham.
You totally said Fritham in Pixels.
I am doing great tonight.
Hey, you didn't even say your name. No one's going to know you are.
Oh, my name is Pernell.
And I'm Mixix Picklet.
Mixix Master?
No, the Mrs. Picklet. I never actually was able to properly pronounce that guy's name. He's the...
Oh, that's the guy from Superman.
Oh my God. I thought I was the tired one here. I think we need to flip that.
I'm super tired.
I understand. Yeah, but he's the dude from Superman.
Yes,
and
Mixix. Oh, Mixix Master.
Mixix Picklet.
Mixel.
None of us know it.
None of this is not good content.
No, it is not.
So this is a podcast where Pernell and I listen to great video game music, and we choose a topic. We talk about the music, the composers, the games, and this week is our decade in review.
Yeah, it's the only one we'll probably ever do unless we start doing like video games of the 70s.
Our decade in games in review. The only important part of the past decade.
Admittedly, that would be a pretty sad episode.
Oh, I know.
The 70s. What?
Well, if you want to get into that, go check out. There's a podcast called Retronauts, and they're doing a full decade in review where they cover 1970. Specifically that year, 1980, 1990, 2000.
But they're not covering the music because the music from the games in the 70s is literally just blips and bloops.
Yeah, exactly. They're just covering the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 1970 there was like what? I think there was a space war?
Maybe.
Or a space battle?
Yeah, that's what...
On the mainframe? I forget.
Yeah, they drafted a bunch of kids to fight it.
They gotta fight our space wars.
They trained them on Star Defender?
Yeah. Oh my gosh! It was the last Starfighter.
That's right. See, I know the movie.
I want to watch that again. That's on the Disney thing. The Disney streaming thing. I have canceled Netflix.
Why?
Because I wasn't really watching it, and I'm going to cancel Hulu because I'm going to spend more time with my family. No, I'm going to play more board games.
That's the. Well, I guess you have a wife, so you always have a player 2 in the house.
Yeah,
that does make it possible.
No, we're just gonna watch less TV is all. That's the plan.
Not a bad.
I gotta fix my microphone here. Hold on. There we go. All right. So, Pernell, how was it for you picking out your favorite games and music tracks of the past 10 years?
Well, I focus on games, and the music came later, so the music wasn't hard to find at all, except for one of them. But the games were surprisingly easy to do, which honestly kind of makes me wonder how true the statement will actually be for them. But in the end, I have to accept that if they come from the gut, it has to be legit. And the reason for something being a favorite can be whatever reason that person denotes as being important.
Oh, 100%. Do you have like criteria for all of your tracks to like a threshold, or was there like something really specific about each one?
Just specificity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a word, but it just kind of clicked like this belongs here.
Sounds like a word.
And I could describe why to an extent. And I can tell you flat out right now a few things. One, an avid listener to the show that knows who I am in that sense will probably know every track, not every track, but every game I'm going to choose.
I thought you were calling somebody out like specifically.
You heard me, Jim Watkins, name I made up.
Oh, you know who you are.
You'll pretty much know these games as they come up, just because clearly Pernell.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've only been doing the show for 4 years, so we've been playing the music from games that we already like, right? So
they're going to be amongst that bunch.
It will be among them.
And then from there, it was just pick a track from this game, and anything will do as long as the music is good in the game. So
yeah.
It's a done and done deal.
Done and dusted.
What about you? Because I'm assuming you've played like 4 games in the last decade.
In the last 10 no.
All right, I'll give you credit. 10. That's one game a year.
Maybe 10. Yeah, one game a year, I would say. Sometimes 2.
Final Fantasy X covered 5 of those years.
Well, 10 came out before...
Well before the decade.
Well before the decade.
But you were still playing it.
But, okay, how many years of the last decade was I playing Enter the Gungeon?
Actually, that's a good point.
That is a good point, right?
You were already living here when that happened, so at least 2018 is when you started.
I think
you were playing on PS4, so it had to be when the PS4 version came out.
Yeah, but I was playing on the PC first.
Really?
Yeah. I have no idea how long I've been playing.
I don't, because I didn't remember you.
I've been keeping it a secret from everyone.
Uh-oh. That way you couldn't get that. That's why we couldn't have that intervention for your Gungeon addiction.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start off our episode with that. How do you like that? Wait, no, we can't. This is a. I'm
an oddball, and this is my episode. This is
not a 6. So we should say then that next week's episode is 21-6. It is a Patreon exclusive. What's a Patreon recorded episode? So we will be recording that episode live over a live stream exclusively for our Patreon members, and this will be on a Wednesday.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wednesday.
Rob is on the journey on Thursday.
I am on a journey on Thursday, so that means that the stream is on the 29th of January, 2020.
Watch out, y'all.
Watch out, y'all. And what's the topic? It's going to be your favorite things.
It's pretty much games of the decade. It's amazing. It came up. It was asked in the Rhythm and Pixels Discord chat, and I genuinely forgot which one of the two I actually said, and I conflated it with us doing decade and year. So in the end, I just said, give me your favorite tracks.
Yeah, let's do it. Bring it. You said bring it?
Or, sorry, not favorite tracks. Give us your favorite games. The track is secondary. It's the game that matters. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people are like, this is my favorite game ever. This is my favorite game of the decade. This is my favorite game I played today.
I think we're going to get some of those. Some people are going to say, like, this is my favorite game all time, like, period, full stop, dunzo. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure we're going to hear that. Are you going to have any of those?
Waka Waka. We're going to have, Kermies.
Are we going to have any of those from you? Any like number ones?
All of mine are decade.
Hands down?
No, I don't think I can do that.
Past 10 years, the rest of the games can go.
I can never do that. That's too specific for too wide a dearth of games.
Okay.
I can never do that.
I'm impressed. I'm continually impressed.
With what? This pen is yours. I got it from you.
I stole it from work.
There you go. You're impressed with a stolen pen.
All right, so this is the odd-numbered episode. Pernell, are you going to go in any kind of order, or are you just going to go for it?
Order-ish, I guess.
Okay.
So, first track is going to come from the game Dark Souls. And the track title is just... I'm going to go with this one, I guess. The Bed of Chaos. And the composer, which I always forget until I have to research it.
Right.
Is Motoi Sakuraba.
That's right.
None of this music sounds like anything he'd ever done.
Now, I know, but I remember way back when we had an episode where it was, I think it was boss music, and it was the final boss to Dark Souls, and it was this piano music that was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this cannot be the final boss music to a Dark Souls game.
Oh, but it is.
It was amazing.
But it is.
So, yes.
Sombering.
It was sobering. That's what it was, because it was not what I expected.
The game is sobering.
Oh, yeah. But, so Motoi Sakuraba, The Bed of Chaos. Damn. just sinister.
Bob.
Wow.
Tell you. Well, before I tell you, I will just say welcome back. We're listening to the Bed of Chaos theme from the game Dark Souls, composed by Motoi Sakuraba and released on the PlayStation 3 on October 4th, 2011. Now, first of all, I think it's kind of hilarious how every track in this game, boss-wise, is generally at some point has some sort of chorus that goes on where someone's going, bah, like.
Wait, I don't understand. So
that the voices, all the chanting,
all the songs,
they generally have like some sound like or like operatic. I call it like operatic dread. Like all the music in this game is meant to like make you feel very anxious and tense.
Well, I mean, listen to this. Like that harp under any other context would be like a fun magical Christmas song, you know?
But not here though. Here's a freaking nightmare.
But like, there's so much other noise. There's that timpani halfway through. It was relentless. It was just wouldn't stop.
This game is it's a trip. So
why this song?
Well, the song is not so much the kick here, because honestly I was having difficulty picking any particular track. The closest other one I was going to pick was probably the Taurus theme and Demon theme, because that's like the first real boss you fight. The one you fight in the cathedral is not a real boss. He's kind of just like this is Dark Souls, but then the Taurus theme is like, this is the real game.
Throwing shade on those Dark Soul deep.
No, he really is just kind of like a this is getting you started, but not the real McCoy. But Dark Souls had to get picked by me. One, because it is a game franchise that catered to a gameplay style that at this time was very lacking in the market. So we had Devil May Cry 3, which was a PS2 game, which was difficult, and that got lauded hardcore for that. But aside from that, and Ninja Gaiden 1, the re-release series, there were very few hard, because we like hard, so here, have this title, challenging game. Title shows up.
Wasn't Dark Souls the second game in that kind of franchise? Or the first one was
no.
It was called Demon Souls, right?
Demon Souls was the first, but
it still followed that whole kind of you're gonna die really quickly, a lot of dodging kind of gameplay, right?
It carried a ton of similarities, including the whole death and rebirth thing, how you come out as a spirit. It's
right.
Part of me thinks that they stuck with Dark Souls labeling because Dark Souls 1 is when when those styles of games actually took off and got a following. So he's like, we better just keep the naming structure to keep that audience coming back. But
I read about that actually pretty recently, how Demon Souls slowly gained its own kind of popularity, but everyone was like, no. Because it came out at a time when everyone, this style of game wasn't a thing.
Yeah, when I bought this game, it was niche. And when Demon Souls came out, it was extremely niche. No one was playing this or talking about it. And then one day, it exploded.
Would you... Okay, hear me out. I'm going to make a huge, broad statement here, but I think that the popularity of these games is because of YouTube and Twitch streaming. Or at least...
I'm going to say
it propelled it. No.
I could say that it helped it later, but I feel like Dark Souls got popular before Twitch became big. Don't get me wrong, I didn't follow it from inception, so I don't know when Twitch itself truly spiked, but I do believe that Twitch wasn't as big as it could be to the point where I was going to start influencing things by the time Dark Souls picked up.
Right.
But I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the word of mouth bit. Maybe they started out with bragging rights for some people.
Yeah, I always feel like
other people just kind of talked up, because sometimes it wasn't just that, but I think eventually a lot of people just talk up this style of game, the atmosphere that the game provides. This is worth diving into. But the other reason why I had to pick this game, aside from it being a title that catered to interests that I had that weren't being addressed in the hobby, is the fact that Dark Souls and Demon Souls, gotta give it credit, sparked an entire style of gameplay that up until this point didn't exist. And now you have companies still aping it, not in a negative way, mind you, but they're aping it to make their own versions of this style of game. You have reviewers saying something is Souls-like. Like, that became a thing. It's the Dark Souls of blank. Everything's the Dark Souls of something.
Yeah.
So that what was the Dark Souls of something but before Dark Souls existed? It didn't exist. That concept wasn't a thing. So it created an entire style of gameplay that people, like other companies, want to utilize to their advantage. Mm-hmm. It created an entire nomenclature of games. Or for games of game descriptions, like, hey, these are the Souls types games, Souls types game,
Souls like,
Souls type, Souls bowls. Everybody's a Soul type game.
Right.
Point is, before this, that didn't exist. Mm-hmm. After this, it became a thing.
Yeah.
And they just released the remaster of the first game like 2 years ago, and it still plays very well. Like, it hasn't missed a beat, and I still personally think the first game is the best of the trio. So, I mean, Dark Souls is where it's at. And it's the only Dark Souls game that I actually finished. Like, I've played 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the only one where I was like, I'm going to play this whole thing through. And I played it without summoning help back then. Now, I can't see myself playing it without summoning help because the game's just more fun that way for me. But back then, I was doing the whole, I don't need help. I can beat it by myself.
I don't need anybody. I'm an island.
That's right. That's what I was pulling. But now I'm like,
hard mode, nightmare mode.
Summoning people is fun. And once I learned how to sell the game's concept of summoning friends in, I was able to like, this game's hard, but if it's the easy way to practice. When you're having trouble with the game, let yourself die, be a spirit, and let other people summon you. You get practice in other people's worlds, failing over and over again until you get it right. And since all the experience stacks up, that's what like our friend Matt did. He just made a super Hulk soldier from helping other people in their games, and when it was time for him to play, he was just jacked up. So all of a sudden, it wasn't all that much of a challenge for him.
So the story is that the developer of the game got the idea for coming back as like a ghost or whatever to help your friends out because he was traveling home from work up a very steep hill. But
in the spirit plane?
Well, the snow kind of came down super, super hard.
Okay.
And so everyone on the hill got stuck.
Okay.
And so what they did was they all kind of snuck in behind each other and pushed each other all at once along up the hill.
Like a single file.
Yeah, all single file pushing each other. And so none of them would have made it home unless they all helped each other out.
Interesting.
And so the idea is that if you can't make it, you help each other. Like, it's all about like community, but like in the darkest way possible.
And honestly, and it's a gameplay mechanic that I genuinely feel is one of the best gameplay innovations we've had. Because again, that's another thing. Before that game,
is very
there was none of that. People used to complain. Admittedly, I won't lie. People still complain about this aspect of it, but people would complain about how you came and talked to the people in the game world because you're meant to be a silent helper, which to me was part of the charm.
Yeah.
I like the fact that I couldn't talk to these people. They were literally spirits just kind of walking around pointing and doing stuff. It added an atmosphere to the game. I don't need to speak to everybody.
Granted,
I didn't need a guy calling me racial slurs either over the stranger net.
Oh, sure. But these are spirits with like super cool gamer tag names like No Scope 420 and...
Oh, of course. But I blocked those names. I was like, look, I just want to hang out with a cool ghost person.
Guy. So one of the games that would be in my tops of the last decade, but I decided not to pick because there's so many other ones I wanted to choose from, was Hyper Light Drifter, which people called a Souls-like game in that as you would explore, like your health was limited, your items were limited, and just random enemies could just take you down if you were not ready for it.
As it should.
And so I think that was the only thing about it that was Souls-like. Otherwise, to me, it felt like a hardcore Zelda.
That's where that's where a lot of the people use Souls-like was. It was typically... It was used in two different ways. It would be used in gameplays to like Code Vein was Souls-like. But then you have games that were just, this game is brutally hard.
Yeah,
therefore, we'll call it Souls-like. And so it's hard. You'd have to actually do some investigating or listen to more of the dialogue in the description to get what they refer to when they say Souls-like. But it was still a decent designation, though I do know a few people that are extremely tired of hearing it.
I mean, I know. There's people who write about games and who play a lot of games, more games than I do, are probably annoyed with it.
You could just call them very difficult games.
Yeah, just hard stuff.
Yeah.
We call it the hard stuff. Are you into the hard stuff?
Oh, yeah. Whiskey, rum, Dark Souls. Yeah, put it in my cup.
Yeah, man. We got a party last night. I drank too much whiskey. I drank too much Dark Souls.
You did way too much Dark Souls.
I did way too much Dark Souls. All right, so my first track is from a game that came out at the end of the previous decade.
Okay.
And then the final version of it came out at the beginning of the last decade. And that was Street Fighter 4. So it was Ultra Street Fighter 4. It had a few new characters at the very, very end. It was one of Bison's like dolls characters. It was essentially a color swap of Cammy.
Okay.
And her name was Decapre.
I remember her. She had the weird mask.
She had like a weird mask and stuff, but she was a charged character. She was actually really fun to play. It was like playing Cammy like mixed with Guile, which is really cool.
I'm really surprised you picked 4 over 5.
You know what? Because I played so much more 4. Street Fighter 4 is the game that brought me back into fighting games.
Save the talk for when the game music is playing.
This game, the music is great. I love all of the later versions of Street Fighter 4 music. So this is Theme of Decapre, composed by Hideyuki Fukasawa. This is the theme of Decapre from the game Ultra Street Fighter 4, composed by Hideyuki Fukasawa.
Does she have ice moves or something?
No, she had a glove that had like this big like metaphysical spike that came out of her hand.
Okay.
It was called the Stinger. You sting them.
It stings.
It was a really good anti-air move. So yeah, I had to pick Street Fighter 4 because I was still playing it up until the very, very end, and I mean, it was so frustrating because
It's also why you bought an Xbox and actually bought a modern game console.
It's why I bought the Xbox. It's why I bought the PS4. It was to play the newest Street Fighter 5, which I think nothing is holding up to how Street Fighter 4 was competitively.
I even bought Street Fighter 4 back then, and that was unprecedented because
Yeah.
I just didn't play Street Fighter at all.
Well, when it first came out, like everyone had it. It was like in the heyday of Xbox Live, and everybody was online, and people were unlocking characters. And like, I got Sakura, and I
just used Crimson Viper and never stopped.
Yeah. Well, the original characters were fun. Like they for some reason they're not coming back. Like Crimson Viper's not coming back. Oh, Jury came back, but like Abel's not coming back. It's weird.
I don't know what they're thinking.
I don't know what they're thinking. People, I guess they weren't that popular. But anyway, Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox Live, it brought Street Fighter into the world of online play, and it really brought out competitive gaming, and it brought out my competitive side up until the very, very end when the last version of this game, Ultra Street Fighter 4, came out, and that was like every character, every stage.
Plus Decapre, right?
Yeah, plus it had Decapre, and I think one of the last characters was Elena from Third Strike.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, it was good. I mean, I never got that great with any of the final characters because I had to stick with just my core group of fighters.
It's interesting in the sense too, also that I feel like during the PS3, Xbox 360 era, fighting games started to make quite a big comeback, and there was a variety of different fighting games that made to hit the scene. But you primarily stuck with Street Fighter.
I feel like I had to focus because I was either going to get good at one or bad at all of them.
That makes sense.
Now it's like I have to stay bad at one. No. So what was I going to say? The I love how this really pulled me back in. That's right. I was going to say. So when Street Fighter 2 was first hit the arcades, it became so popular that all these other companies made their own fighting games to kind of emulate it.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of same thing kind of happened with Street Fighter 4. It was so popular online, it really got people interested in fighting games again.
It woke companies up to start producing. Because
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, we still had like the Guilty Gears and stuff, but I don't think they were being produced as frequently.
No.
And they definitely weren't really packing online play.
No, and then like with all the tournaments and with the rise of esports now, like we're seeing more of them come back too. Like all the anime games, like what's it called? Rebirth. No.
Oh God! Funny you make the reference. Cause I was gonna say someone had these really dumb names like Undertale, Unbirth.
Yeah,
Undertale, what was it? Under Night in Birth. There it is.
Yeah, Under Night in Birth. They just it's crazy. But like the reason I think esports is cool only because of fighting games. I can't get into StarCraft. I can't get into Overwatch, but I can watch a fighting game even if I don't understand the game.
I like puzzle games.
Like I'll watch Tekken, and I don't understand what all the ins and outs of Tekken, but I can see these two characters beat each other up, and two people like all they're on joysticks. They're playing an arcade game. I get it. I can understand that. Rocket League,
behind that
Rocket League, I understand, but I can't follow it.
I'm the same way. But at the same time, I feel like Rocket League works well as an esport because it's very similar to like traditional sports, how you have a team of cars versus a team of soccer players. Cars passing the ball to other car.
I think the cars are going to beat the soccer players.
Most likely, unless. But yeah, like fighting games, I can keep up with those fairly well, even though I'm also not typically good at them. But it allows me to actually live vicariously through these other people and see what characters that I think are cool.
Yeah.
It allows me to see what they're capable of, what their potential is, and
right?
Actually in the hands of a skilled player.
Yeah, my playing Ryu is nowhere near like Daigo Umehara playing Ryu. Mm-hmm. Like it's the same characters, the same game, but like that is a next level, like control, So
but I would love to start seeing some Puyo Puyo esports championships. I'd actually crack my knuckles and get back in the ring if that happened.
I think that was like supposed to be a thing, right? Puyo Puyo is.
They were pushing for it. At one point, Sega even released a quote-unquote esports version called Puyo Puyo Champions, and their hope was that was going to be the thing that they would use to spear themselves into the esports circle. I'm not sure how well it did, though. Admittedly, I haven't heard anything about it show up like Evo.
I would love to see puzzle games like get real big into esports somehow. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't think it is, but if it did, I'd be an avid esports watcher.
Yeah, me too. It could be people like the shooty games, and I don't think it's ever going to change.
I still mentally live in a dream world where global disputes are settled with video game tournaments.
Oh, have you ever seen the show? It was called Video Game High School.
No.
It's a world where instead of sports, it's video games, and so like the jock football players are actually just like Counter-Strike players.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a really silly, dumb show, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I'll have to check it out at some point.
Yeah, look it up. It's you'll get hooked. It's real short. It's the guy who made Rocket Jump, isn't it?
I don't even know what that is. So there you go.
You'll recognize it. You'll recognize it. All right. So what's your next track?
All right, my second track is going to be again another game that stalwart listeners would know of me liking, but I'm going to play a track from it anyway.
Absolutely.
That game is called Dungeon of the Endless, and the title of the track is called Celluloid, and it's composed by Flybyno, whatever that is.
I think it's like Fly by Number, but
that makes more sense than Flybyno.
Flybyno.
Welcome back. You're listening to Celluloid from the game Dungeon of the Endless, composed by flybyno or flybynumber. We're not quite certain. Originally released October 27, 2014, but I didn't get exposed to it until it got released on Xbox One on March 16, 2016. Now, Dungeon of the Endless came out at a time where I was kind of in a rough spot too, but
in a little funk.
Definitely in a funk.
Funky.
And the way I was able to get down with this game, the reason why it worked for me was because, one, it was recommended to me by listener Matt, who suggested as a game worth checking out. We could play it as co-op.
Friend Matt.
That's his full name, Friend Matt.
Friend Matt.
And then the other reason why it took off for me was specifically because it was a game I would only play with friends. Like, I didn't even play this alone, which is why I was able to enjoy it. If I'm hanging out with friends and getting myself out of my little pod hole, it's easy to boot the game up, converse, and play. So that's one element to it. But the gameplay as a whole is a solid hook. It is part dungeon crawler, part roguelike, part tower defense. It does all of those things exceptionally well with a spectacular coat of humor across the relics you find throughout the dungeons.
It's good. It's important to have. How is it multiplayer? Is it multiplayer, or is it just like good with friends?
It's multiplayer.
Ooh.
Like, even if you're playing alone, you'll be just controlling a bunch of different characters by yourself. But when you're playing with friends, you have unfortunate moments that could occur, like a person opening the door when they shouldn't, and you're not prepared, and monsters come flooding in. Like, why'd you do that? It's like, well, I got greedy, and I wanted all the treasure. That's what I usually would be the guy saying. I was the greedy one.
But blaming everybody else.
Oh, no. I took fault in that game. I had no shame.
It sounds like Gauntlet in that sense.
It was a fantastic game, and to this day, I've been trying to convince my friend Sherwin to pick it up and play this with me, but he won't drop the cash on the Xbox One version or the Xbox One version of it.
Oh, so to play together. This is on this is on across multiple consoles, I'm assuming, right?
It's on PS. Yeah. It's on Xbox One. There was talk of a Switch version, but it never happened. And then there was Steam, of course. But it's just, it hits all the right notes, and then the music is all ambient, which doesn't typically click for me. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not that I dislike ambient music, it's just that I rarely find it memorable, because this whole purpose is to blend in, not to stand out.
Right.
But this track and one I picked a couple years back,
this kind of stands out.
That's my point though. Like,
right.
To me, this does stand out. It's ambient, but it also stands out very well. It's got a distinct sound to it. When I had to pick a track for this episode, it immediately came to mind. I didn't know the name of it at the time, but I was like, this is the track I want.
I love the soundtrack now, because I listened to a lot of it for the ambient mixtape that I released at the beginning of the year. So definitely check that out. It's on our YouTube page as well. I really enjoyed putting it together. I did little blurbs at the beginning of each track, but I love this last section of this song right here.
It's so good.
I don't know. It's something about these chords that come through.
It's haunting, yet also somehow soothing. I don't know how that works.
This is amazing that your first two tracks are both kind of atmospheric, but in different ways. So it's haunting and a bit of relieving at the end of here, but then the last chord is major, and I want to listen to that one more time, because it surprised me. I could see the track was going to end, but I didn't think it was going to end like this. It almost sounds like religious. It's something you hear in a church.
Oh,
I love that.
That's when you die.
I love that it ends on that major chord. It's cool. I like it.
And
it's like a triad or something. It's really nice.
It's just a solid OST to a fantastic game. And the biggest thing about this, and why it's worth bringing up as one of my games of the decade, is because, worth pointing out, while I'm sure a lot of listeners outside of the show have never heard of this game or the Endless Space franchise of games that this is a part of, one thing I can say about this game is that as big releases drop every year, and we have our Game of the Year awards, and they note this game is the Game of the Year on this system, blah, 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 blah. They all are just very spectacular versions of things we've already done. Like, they don't truly stand out sometimes because, like, a year or two later, they'll be dropped or nearly forgotten for the next big thing that plays exactly like it does. For me personally, though, not only is this game very unique in how it plays to the point where I can't think of another game that plays exactly like this, but I played it in 2016. I have played hundreds of games since then. And I still want to go back to this game whenever I can to play it with my friends. Without a drop. If Matt called me today and said, "We want to play Dungeon Endless tonight," and I wasn't busy, I'm like, let's get it in. Let's do it. Nice. I'll pick my same character, Sarah, the freaking like speedy bounty hunter with a sword. I would throw down today on this game. I can't say that about a lot of games. But this one I can.
I like that.
It hits the notes that makes this definitely decade game worthy.
You know what game I can play all the time?
Street Fighter.
No.
Final Fantasy.
Enter the Gungeon. I've talked about this game so much on the show. It's a roguelike. It's a bullet hell. It's a twin stick shooter. It's everything. It's everything you would want. Anything you want it to be, it's in there somehow. It's somehow in there. And it's got tons of humor. It's got some really great music. The music, when it first came out, was excellent. But it was all kind of in the background. Didn't really have a lot of heavy themes, not a lot of heavy melodies. But then the final version of the game came out.
The one that recently came with that Marauder guy or the Desperado in the background.
Desperado, A Farewell to Arms. And with that came a whole mess of new tracks. All of the NPCs you find in the dungeon, they all have their own music, like theme songs now. And
really?
Incredible. So this is the Paradox Lich theme, which is the final boss. Not just the Lich, the Paradox Lich. So you have to go through a time paradox, which is playing through the game twice in a row.
Weird. But you have to beat the game the first time.
Yes.
Do you have to get the true ending or just any ending?
If you get the true ending, going through a paradox. I'll talk a little bit more when we come back, but this is composed by doseone. Yes, that was the Paradox Lich from Enter the Gungeon, A Farewell to Arms, composed by doseone. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of fancy footwork here to get the track to loop okay.
But don't forget hot.
So it's the Lich theme, but glitched out. So
I was going to ask, like, does the basic normal Lich have a theme that's similar but different to this?
Yeah, it's a lot like that, which sounds a lot like the original, like, usual boss theme that you would hear throughout the game, but it's a bit more epic, has more horns and stuff, and this has, like, weird lyrics that no one's able to decipher, and I think it's because it's all glitched out. So
hot.
Throughout the Farewell to Arms, you can find these, like, pools of they look like mirrors or something. It looks strange, but if you go across it and hit a button, your character glows. And now you're in a paradox state. And if you complete the game, you create a time paradox and you have to go through it again. And then the Lich at the very, very end of the game is all glitched out and crazy.
It's interesting how you
wild.
describe this game
Absolutely
because
wild.
we were talking. This was off episode now I think about it. But we were talking about dance games and how they've evolved over the years to just be like so difficult that they pretty much require you to do something that back in the day people were like, no, don't do that. Now
Exactly,
it's like you kind of have no choice. You have to hold the bar and swish your feet around. Like they keep raising the bar.
Yes.
Pun intended. They keep raising the bar to match the difficulty that players continue to reach. And Gungeon is a good example of that style of development where the game came out as a difficult game. And folks rose up to the challenge, they completed it, patted themselves on the back, and the developer said, hey, I got something for that. They come up with another version now with glitched bosses or run through the whole game, shoot backwards to unlock something.
Every update they released had like, oh, this is a new thing, but you're probably never going to see it because it's you gotta beat the game this way and that way. So the only thing I'm going to say about this game now, before we move on to our next track, is it was this past year Michael Bridgewater, on my recommendation, thought he would try it out.
Really?
And he was like, he kept like texting me out of the blue over Facebook, like being like, oh my god, this is so hard. Oh, this is so cool. I just found this thing. Did you know you could do that? And then like a week later, Rob, I just beat one of the bosses. Rob, I just finished one of the characters. And then a week later...
Wait, he beat the game?
Yeah, then a week later, Rob, I beat the Lich.
Really?
At that point, I was like...
All right, whoa.
Can you believe...
No, hold that. You're telling me Michael Bridgewater...
Yeah, is a true gamer? Yes.
No. Come on, I knew that.
You knew that.
Michael Bridgewater beat this game. Got a full ending.
Full ending.
And I'm saying it because I never took him to be like one for bullet hell game. And I certainly didn't take him for one that would play a game like this and go, I'm going to keep at it until I win, because this game is merciless.
It's merciless. It is.
I need to go back and play this now.
It takes.
Did he tell you the character he used?
He used the Marine, Space Marine. It takes an incredible amount of concentration and dedication to get that far. So, yeah.
I think the first I ever got was the 4th floor, and that felt like a fluke.
Yeah, there are 2 different bosses you can face in the 4th floor. It was
a monster that made the room dark.
Yes. Oh, I guess there's 3 bosses on the 4th floor.
Yeah, his crib is really creepy, too.
There's the wall monster, and then there's the pillars, which is 4 pillars that run around. That thing is so RNG. It's randomly running around. I can't beat it.
That's not what RNG stands for. R, randomly, N, running, and G, around.
It's super random. But the wall, I can do no hit because it's predictable.
Is it in any way a parody or a homage to the Final Fantasy IV wall boss?
I don't know that boss. So
is it a monster sticking out of the wall, like his arms are out in some way? Because the Final Fantasy IV boss was literally just a monster who was a part of the wall, whose arms were out with claws, and his face kind of hung out of it, too.
No, it does not like that. But in the end of Final Fantasy X, there is a hidden area. I think it's in the what's that dungeon called? The Omega Ruins.
Okay.
And there are enemies like that are super difficult.
Do they have like the one-hit kill press attack?
Yeah, it's like a super death or whatever, but like they're just walls with like arms that are sticking out. It's like kind of silly
pretty cool.
looking.
So I guess that was definitely an homage to it.
But yeah, definitely. But yeah, so that's all I want to get into this. I'm picking from games that over the last 10 years I've spent probably the most amount of time playing. And these past 2 games I have really invested a lot of my game time into, because they're just enjoyable.
And that's why I don't know if it's going to play out that way, but I really would like for listeners, like the Patreon listeners, heck, even non-Patreons for this one, just give us the reasons for their games, because the reasonings for top games of the year, especially a decade or greater, the reasonings vary all over the place. You'll get a cat who's like, why is this your game? Like, well, have you ever played it? Well, no, not really per se. I never played it, but my cousin's sister was playing it, and I walked in, and the artwork that was portrayed on the screen display on the screen just drew me in. It was so beautiful that I never forgot it. Why didn't you play it? Oh, man.
Well, I could go out and be like, oh yeah, Breath of the Wild was probably, but I don't know, I never played it. So yeah.
But somebody I could see someone outright seriously saying that Breath of the Wild is one of their games of the decade, but also having never played it. I could totally see someone doing it. It's like, it would be interesting just to hear what other people's rationale is for choosing their games that they do.
All right, so what's your final? This is it. This is your last one.
Well,
no more.
Maybe.
The decade's over.
That's it. Maybe. Might be one more. You never know.
Oh, there could be.
Well, couldn't do games of the decade without putting this bad boy on the
Let's
list.
hear it.
So this comes from the game Persona 5.
Knew it.
And the track title is called Price. And the composer is Shoji Meguro. Welcome back. You're listening to the track Price from the game Persona 5 for the PlayStation 4, composed by Shoji Meguro and released in the States on April the 4th, 2017. This track in this game are fantastic to me. They stand out in such a way. So, just to throw some...
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this very much. This is a great song.
This is the third dungeon of the game, and it's still, honestly, after having beaten the game, it's my favorite dungeon in the entire game. And I think the theme is the best there because all the characters are phantom thieves. They steal hearts. But this is the only dungeon that takes place in an actual bank. Like you're robbing a bank.
Oh, cool.
So there's something kind of cool about thieves robbing a bank.
And that's probably why there's like guitar and like the drums. Mm-hmm. It all fits really well. That's cool.
They did a great job with this dungeon. So why is this in my games of the decade? Well, for one, despite the fact that the overly serious Megaten fan base loves to try to talk trash about this game, you can't knock numbers and you can't knock the true quality of the game. The game sold like gangbusters, and it deserved to because it is a phenomenal title. We were waiting, if you were a Persona fan before this game, you were waiting a very long time for this thing to come out. Persona 4 had come out in 2008, I believe, and we were waiting all this time for this game. In the middle, we got Catherine, which was actually, it was a puzzle game, but it was actually like a prototype for the what is it? The model, basically, that eventually became the engine. There we go.
The game engine.
So I
was wondering whether they does have a similar appearance.
Mm-hmm. That was the prototype for what became the engine used in Persona 5.
Interesting.
So we were waiting a while, and thankfully the game genuinely did not disappoint. But also, in addition to all those things, Persona 5 had a thing that, I don't know how to describe it. It took me out of a slump that I was dealing with for like a good year and a half. Well, not a year and a half. It was more like a year and a month. But anyway, point is, it pulled me out of a slump of gaming that I was kind of stuck in, where I just didn't feel really motivated to play anything. Like, Dungeons of the Endless aside, or games I play specifically with my friends, I didn't have the heart to really sit down and say, I'm going to play this game right now. I was kind of dead to the whole hobby.
Yeah.
And Persona 5 was something I was anticipating for a long time. And when it finally came out, I was like, I'm going to buy it. I have to buy it. But then I was like, I don't really want to play it. I just don't feel it. So what ended up happening one day was I was cooking dinner and thought, I should at least see what the intro is like. You know, just kind of put the disc in or whatever. And then I played for like 10 hours straight. I went to bed at like 3 or 4 in the morning and woke up late for work.
Yeah, I remember that day. You were exhausted. You were so tired because you were nonstop playing this.
Yes, and then I just kept playing it. Like I hit that cycle that very rarely happens for me anymore, where I go to work, come home, get my affairs in order, and immediately play this game. And I would play it until I had to go to bed, and I would repeat it until the game was over. Like I was skipping social obligations because I wanted to see what happens next in this game. And I ended up playing 150 hours, and what was it? We say it came out in, like I said, came out in April. I beat the game the second week of March, so I put 150 hours into the game between April 4th and the second week of May. Think about that for a minute. That's a lot of time.
I said March. In May.
In May.
Between April and May.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's, you figure, it's not that much time. 24 hours a day over 6 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
I basically was chunking in any hour I could put into this game, and I wrecked it. I can't think of another game I put this kind of time into gleefully. The second to last dungeon of the game, actually the last dungeon we really laid on the table because the freaking Mementos wasn't a real dungeon. Anyway, the second last dungeon, I did the entire thing in one sitting, thinking that I wanted to see how the final fight in the dungeon is going to play out. It can't be that long. I started doing the dungeon at 9 p.m. one night. Didn't stop. I didn't finish it until either 6 or 7 a.m. the next day. So I didn't stop playing.
You start so late.
I thought the dungeon would be fast. It just kept going, though. And I also, and for those who are like, why would it take you that freaking long? Well, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I went to the bathroom a few times there got to go to the kitchen. But in addition, I was playing on hard mode. And I fought every battle. Like, I didn't run from any enemies.
Oh, yeah. I would do that. I'd be like, I'm just going to start running through.
The experience. Because typically, the way I play the games is I try to do every dungeon on one run. I never leave and come back.
Yeah, that's what I was doing with way back when on Persona 3, was I would go into the dungeon world, and then I would just go until I would die. And then at that point, I realized it was only until I would get a game over that I knew I'd have to go back and level up and then do it again. And I would just do that over and over and over again because it was fun just to like see how far I could get before I had to start grinding.
Yeah, and to me, like, I know there's two schools of thought, so there's no real wrong choice here. So for those who are listening, I'm not disparaging anybody's play style, but there's two styles of play here. There's the grind mentality, and the grind mentality is solely like a power fantasy. You come in, you beat up rats for 10 hours, and then every adversary in the game becomes a joke to you, no matter what your difficulty you're playing. Me, I'm the other end of the spectrum. I like to push forward with as little grinding and as much effort as possible. I want to fight the hardest with the least.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
It's like you're training, like you feel like you're training smarter and not just harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
I go with it.
That's interesting. I like that these games give you that kind of freedom to play how you want.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Now, I'll admit there are certain games where I make an exception. That's usually games that have like class systems, because if you have class systems, there's all these different trees you could get skills from, and now you want to experiment. What does this do? Now, what does this do? So now all of a sudden, the grind is less about becoming super powered. It's more about I want to see all this has to offer, and I can only do that by grinding. If I just play through the game, I'll miss so much content. So that's when I usually make the exception. But otherwise, I'm plowing right through. Knock it out. So, but Persona 5...
It's the game I still need to play.
Yes, you're never gonna, but you really should.
2020. This is the year I think about it. Really, really good.
As I'm playing very little, this should be you're being like,
Persona 5 Royal comes out. Does that mean I have to play the first one?
No, just play Royal. Save your money at this point.
So it's like,
but then the reality is don't wait until Royal's cheap all of a sudden, because then you'll be right back in the loop.
Yeah, it can be cheap again.
Yeah, but then you'll just never play that too.
What's after Royal? Is it going to be like presidential?
Well, is there anything above Royal, like Deity? Persona 5 Deity?
Yeah, it's Persona 5 Your Mother. I don't know why I said that.
Persona 5 Theism.
Yeah, that track ended. That was cool. Okay, so my last track is from a game that really captured my imagination. It's Fez.
The Fez.
It's Fez. It's so interesting.
I forgot it did come out this decade.
Yeah, it did. It was on. Yeah, again, it was one of those Xbox Live things. Mm-hmm. Not a big story, but a big world.
It's all about the exploration.
It's all about
What were the things you were finding again?
Cubes.
Just cubes.
Squares.
Oh, I'm trying to come up with a weird name. It's like, no, you're literally just picking up squares.
But every time I find a new secret, it would open up a whole new place, and it just got more and more interesting to me. And I just wanted to live in this world for just a little bit longer. So this is the game Fez, composed by Disasterpeace, and this is a track called Puzzle.
Ooh.
There you go. Puzzle.
Puzzle Cube.
Puzzle Cube. You're listening to, well, what you were listening to, and then I deleted it. Purnell doing his Bobby McFerrin impression. I don't think he meant to be making those noises with his mouth. This is the track Puzzle from the game Fez, composed by Disasterpeace.
And you can totally tell it was Disasterpeace.
Yeah.
It has his sound all over it.
All over it. I mean, this game is Disasterpeace. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So yeah, it's a 2D platformer that you can change perspectives to see the other side that you can't normally see, that opens up new platforms. But the world of this game, I feel like when games have less story and there's less imagery and symbolism, it just makes you imagine it much more. You know, like your imagine runs more wild.
You fill in the pieces.
You fill in the blanks, and to me, it just felt like this world that was abandoned, and you're searching through all of these ruins and ancient texts, and you're learning a new language at the same time.
It made me sad, honestly,
It's
because
amazing.
This is one of those games where I did buy it because I like the concept of it, but I didn't stick with it because it hit that mark that comes at me with certain games where if I'm not gaining any new means of traversing the world or exploring it, I lose interest.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be able to have a character that grows as I progress in some way.
Yeah, this character does the one thing, he runs and he jumps. And he looks
That's
around.
two things.
Looks around corners.
But that's two things.
But then
That's three things.
Three things. But there's nothing else until you beat the game. You get one more thing. But that's it.
Jumps harder.
You can't die. You just keep coming back.
So if you jump off a ledge, you'll just respawn in the corner.
Yep, you just come right back on the ledge. And that's really it. There's one area that's all done up like red Virtual Boy style, where lava is coming up from the ground. That's the only danger area level. But even then, you still can't lose. It's just that's the only area of the world that's trying to kill you.
Oh, cool.
It's really neat. Every section
Would you
of this
say it's
game.
a Zen style game?
Yes.
Or, like obviously you have to do a lot of heavy thinking, but
yeah, I have a notebook full of like charts and maps and like there are clues on like different ends of the world that give you an idea of this means this letter and this means this number, and you put it all together and you can discover what to do.
I love doing stuff like
it's amazing.
that. So I will admit,
absolutely amazing.
In the few games where I have been able to pull that off, where the game required it, I suck at organizing the notes.
Yeah.
So I end up with just like pages of like text I just scroll in the order of which I thought to write it.
Yeah, I mean, mistakes have been made. Notes have been lost. Just for sure. But yeah, it's and there are some puzzles that were just so esoteric, and I just wanted to see the end of the game that I just let it. I ended up looking online for some of the puzzles. It's because I just wanted to see what would happen if I achieved everything. And the fakey ending, if you get all of the items, is not that interesting. It's just cool colors. It's
Wait,
like
you get a fake ending for getting everything.
so if you win the game, if you finish the game and you unlock whatever it was, but you don't get all of the cubes and like all of like the negative cubes or whatever it is, like you get a normal ending and then there's like a hidden ending, but it's just more like flashy colors.
Oh,
It's nothing like really.
it's not an eye opener, just an eye blinder.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fun getting there. And I accidentally hit a glitch on the way there. There's one area where there's a giant bell and you have to ring it so many times to get a cube.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize if you just keep ringing it, it just keeps giving you cubes.
Oh,
So I could have just sat at the bell and just kept ringing it. So at the end of the game, I had like 2 more than I was supposed to have.
what if that affected the ending you got?
No, that doesn't matter. It's just looking the win condition is looking for I guess less than or equal to a specific amount, or actually greater than or equal to a specific amount. So
Okay.
so
for those who are listening, just go hit the bell for 2 hours.
yeah, just hit the
and
bell.
beat the
Yeah,
game.
there's one puzzle that's a clock, and there's 3 different hands on the clock. And one goes by minutes, one goes by hours, and one goes by days.
Oh, so no seconds.
So once you figure it out, you realize that you have to come back to play the game on a specific day of the week at a specific time of day in order to, and that's the only time when that cube will appear and you can pick it up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Only when games do that.
Mine was all out of whack, and it was going to be at the middle of the night, so I changed the time on my Xbox
To accommodate it.
It was still an interesting puzzle to figure out like when to set it, but yeah, I did. I guess you could say that was a cheat.
Takes me back to the days when I was trying to catch Ladybug in Pokemon Gold and Silver way back in the day. And you had to be up at like 5:30 in the morning to catch it at the park. And I was like, well, I guess I better set my alarm specifically to catch a Ladybug and then go back to bed.
Could you change the clock on the thing?
I woke up at 5 a.m., caught that Ladybug, and went back to bed.
Nice. Got that ladybug though.
That's right. And then it became a mediocre Pokemon.
Yeah, but it meant more to you, right?
Oh, I took it to the end of the game, so mediocre or not, I made that bad boy work.
That's something I love about
Lady.
Pokemon. Like they could be mediocre, they might not be that great, but you put the time and love into it, and so they stick with you.
Yeah.
My Psyduck was never going to be great, but man, he took me to the Elite Four. Or
What, you didn't evolve him?
I took him to the Elite Four. No, of course not.
Stayed Psyduck forever.
I felt so bad that I evolved Pikachu. Because I didn't...
Raichu looked really dopey.
Well, I mean, like, this is like, okay, Pokemon had just first come out. I didn't know much about it. The internet really wasn't revealing all of its secrets at the time, so I was like, oh, I'm supposed to evolve Pokemon. I'll evolve my Pikachu. And then it turned into Raichu, and I felt real sad.
Didn't learn any more moves. He
What?
just was a fat lump
I was like,
of
where's
electricity.
Where's my electric rat? I lost my electric rat friend.
Oh, you didn't lose him. You just became an electric rat. He was an electric mouse.
I like who he was.
You like the mouse.
I like the
You
mouse.
weren't a big fan of the rat.
I guess not. All right, so now we're going to turn this track down, and we're going to get into the part of the show that we call the bonus round.
Bonus round. bonus.
Is that Raichu?
No, it was Bono.
Bono?
Yeah, it
It was a Bono.
It was Bono. It was Bono.
Bono Roundo.
The hippie Pokemon.
Ooh, I like that. Does it smell like patchouli? Covered in hemp?
Yes. yeah, also yes.
Anyway, the bonus round is where we play remixes and covers on our theme. Per now, I have a cover, or I have an arrangement. Do you have one?
Yep.
Awesome.
And I'm glad to find the one that I did because it's very perfect, and I'm glad to put this person back on the show.
Who is it?
So we'll get to
Tell me I'm dying. I'm dying.
So
I'm dying.
So within the theme of the actual episode, this remix comes from another of my favorite games of the decade. That game is called, of course, if you've been listening to the show, you'll know, La Mulana.
Right.
It released originally on Steam. The old version was way back before I even knew it existed.
You played this game like I played Fez.
Yes.
You just got stuck in it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I ended up playing it when it got released as the remake version on Steam. And that came out on April 13th, 2013, while I was recovering from gallbladder removal surgery.
Oh, that's right.
The track that I picked happens to be from longtime friend of me and Rob, and actually the show, Austin, a.k.a. Waz D.
Hey!
His track is a medley that he titled Monumental Subterranean Exploration. It is a banger of a track. I love the game. I love his composition of it, and I look forward to having it shared with all of you. So
All right.
enjoy.
Is this as Wazd or is it as Austin?
Waz D.
Oh, Wazd. Ooh, that was good.
Love that track because he's a man with the rocks. He's really good with guitar. He is a master at guitar. Honestly, he might kill me for calling him a master.
He's very
a little bit too much, but he's ridiculously good at what he does.
Super good. Super darn good.
So
always impressed. Always impressed every time I hear his work.
Here to that.
Yeah.
What was that work? Monumental Subterranean Exploration. His medley rendition from La Mulana. He being Waz D. Austin. I don't want to say his last name because it's public. Austin Green. So, well, aside from the fact that I wanted to put this track on the show because, oh, God, it's good. Why La Mulana? Well, La Mulana, I can't think of too many games I've purchased as many times as I've purchased La Mulana because I wanted to support it in every version I possibly could. I bought it on Steam. I bought it on the Wii. I bought it digitally on Vita. Then I bought the limited run games version on the Vita. And then I'm getting the La Mulana 1 and 2 release that's coming to the Switch this year. I already pre-ordered it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to switch out. You're going to play La Mulana.
That's right.
Yeah.
Got to get it in. Like I adore this game. It is absurdly difficult, both in gameplay, but also in the puzzles.
Yeah.
The puzzles, Rob was earlier talking about how he was taking notes to play Fez, had to keep track of things and clues. La Mulana does that to you. To me, this game is the perfect version of a game intending to give you the feeling of being Indiana Jones exploring a Metroidvania constructed ruin, because everything's not laid out for you. The puzzles are not simplistic at all. They're very convoluted and complicated. The original version of this game, people were playing it in tandem on the internet and then gone to what was it? What was the thing that was before forums? Message boards.
Oh.
People were going to message boards and talking to try to come up with solutions to the puzzles. They had to work together to do it because no one person was able to solve it all by themselves.
Nice.
This game hits you in that way that no other Metroidvania type game has ever been able to do. No other exploration game, maybe outside of like Myst or Riven, could do that. I adore it. And the music is phenomenal. The graphics are fantastic. There's even humor in it. It's genuine quality.
Yeah,
it's just timeless for me.
I was waiting for this game to show up in your list.
Oh, yeah.
It has to show up.
It has to.
I mean, we're boiling everything down to like 4 games, but it has to show up.
And of course, it doesn't hurt that, again, I was recovering from gallbladder surgery, stuck in my apartment. And while this game was being played, it's almost like I didn't feel any pain at all. I was playing this one and Shin Megami Tensei 4. Those were my 2 recovery titles.
We played a lot of those. Both of these titles, we played a lot of their music on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So my bonus round track is coming from Shovel Knight.
Oh.
This is the Shovel Knight arranged album. The original music originally composed by, you know who it is.
Earthstriker? The Kaufberg?
The Kaufberg. Jake Kaufman, Vert. And this is arranged by Jeff Ball. There's a few arrangers on this whole album.
Jeff Ball.
This is Jeff Ball. This is Rough and Tumble. And yeah, this game for me, it's just so good. Like
yes,
it is platformer perfection, and the music is a huge reason why it's number 1.
You're here.
It's number 1 for me. So this is Rough and Tumble from the Shovel Knight arranged album, arranged by Jeff Ball. Oh, that bass is saying goodbye.
Shovel by.
That was Rough and Tumble from Shovel Knight Strike the Earth, arranged, composed by Jake Kaufman, and arranged by Jeff Ball. I love that. I love how fast it is. I love the violins.
There were bits of Strike the Earth in there, unless the Black Knight fight also has bits of Strike the Earth. That's the sound I was hearing. I was hearing it.
Yeah. That's like the main theme of the game. But like the album is called Strike the Earth. So yeah, it's a fantastic arranged album. A lot of it's like this. There's some electronic stuff, but it's mainly on the jazzy and orchestrated kind of symphonic side of things. So yeah, I gotta put Shovel Knight in there because I played a lot of it when our condo was being renovated, and we had to live in this tiny little apartment up in Media.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was like this one little room, and it was so hot in the summertime. And I downloaded this on the laptop and just started playing through it. And it was just, I was like, wow, what am I missing out on? This is so good. Yeah, it was a good time.
You're missing out on Shovel Justice.
I finished it. I didn't finish it well. But
is there a well?
I don't know. I died a lot.
Oh, okay.
And I missed out on a lot of like items and weapons and things.
Well, I'm sure you got all the Chester items, though. I mean, I can't imagine missing any of those.
Which ones?
The Chester items, the stuff that Chester sells you when you find them in the chest.
Oh, yeah, where he sells, yeah, but not all of them, no.
Really?
No, yeah, I don't think I got everything.
There's one per stage.
And then like all of the, yeah, no. And then all of like the, there's like, you can get the music pieces. I don't think I got all the music pieces. I'm just not good at games for now.
Yeah, but the Chester pieces are like the equivalent of the Mega Man weapons in that game. To not get those feels like you're missing a part of the game.
I honestly feel like I didn't do it, but maybe I did. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am good.
I can't imagine you playing through that game, beating it, and not going, I wonder what extra weapon or item I could get from Chester on this level that I missed it in. There's no way, especially if you played it a lot.
I finished that game, and I was like, oh, that felt good. And then that was it.
Oh, my God. I can't.
It's such a great ending. It was such a good final boss.
I didn't even get to the ending, and I got every item.
It's beautiful. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, if you haven't played Shovel Knight, play Shovel Knight. Or give it a shot. Watch it on YouTube. Watch someone else play it.
Never.
It's so much fun.
I'd rather just play it through it again.
Ah.
I'm not going to watch someone else complete the game that I have on my Switch.
I'm saying you can enjoy this game multiple ways.
But I'm only going to enjoy it one way. My way.
The Purnell way.
The Purnell way.
The true
Ghost Peppers.
There is no true way, Purnell. There's only a Purnell way.
And some other stuff.
And the right way.
Hey, you.
For more information on the bonus round, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to their Bandcamps and SoundClouds and everywhere you can get the music and support the artist. You know I'm just messing with you, right?
No, you're not.
You know I really am.
The Purnell way is the way. That is the way.
That's the way. All right, thanks for joining us on episode 21-5 of Rhythm and Pixels as our look back on our favorite games of the decade.
It was surprisingly easier than I expected it to be, but at the same time, I'm sure there are a ton of games that could get thrown in my face and I'll go, oh yeah, in that game. But to me, the best way to play this out is that it's the games that stand out to you the most when you reflect on the decade.
I was totally expecting you to call me and be like, I need more time, Rob. I need more time.
Oh, no. If it got that bad, I would have just shot from the hip and been like, oh, Mega Man 11. I don't freaking know.
You liked Mega Man 11, though, right?
I did, but it ain't game of the decade like. Not even close. If anything, I'd give a Mega Man fan game closer. I'd say Mega Man Unlimited is closer to the game of the decade than Mega Man 11 was.
Yeah, the fans are making the Mega Mans that you want to play.
That's right.
That's true, right? But yeah, no, it was fun to go back and look at all the games that I really enjoyed over the past 10 years and think, wow, I did play some games. I know some games. Those are good stuff.
And this track that's playing right now comes from a game called Lovers in the Dangerous Space-Time. And when this originally came out, I was saying that between this and possibly like Overcooked, I felt no need for any other like multiplayer gameplay titles because this was giving me everything I wanted at the time.
Yeah, it had all of the crazy chaos stuff going on, like all those moments where everyone like works together all of a sudden. Good stuff.
And that magic happens and everybody's fending off all the aliens in tandem or getting the perfect kitchen order running through. It's just
it's
euphoric.
This doesn't have network play, right? It's all couch co-op?
All couch co-op.
Yeah, that would have to be.
Yeah, which is both fortunate and unfortunate because I know it'd be nice if I could just like get people around, like just friends from like out of state, to just boot it up and play. But at the same time, there's something to be said about just sitting next to the person and yelling, "What the heck are you doing? Get on the cannons!" You know, they can see your frustration in your face. Just
they have to feel that.
They have to feel the frustration,
the daggers from your eyes piercing into their skin,
as they should be.
That's right.
Very painfully.
You're very good at that.
Oh yeah,
judging.
Yes, with my gaze,
judging my game skills.
Get better. You're like, you can always play Street Fighter, Pernell. I could,
Rob. I'm not telling you get good. I'm telling you get better. just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little
more bit. Until you're great.
Well, if you would like more information about our show, and if you would like for Pernell to email you back and tell you to be better, send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And if you want more information about our show, full track listings from all of our episodes, and links to all the other cool stuff that we're doing, and where you can find us, go to the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
Check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's Rhythm and Pixels, all one word. Our YouTube page is youtube.com/rhythmandpixels, which is all one word. We have a 24/7 live stream radio thing going on of just 8-bit and 16-bit classics. And if you would like to support the show, just tell people about it, or hit there's like a like button on Apple Podcasts, or
Bake
subscribe
cake and put icing. Spell Rhythm and Pixels out on top of it with icing.
Yeah, just bake a cake. Draw our faces onto it, bring it into work,
or a prison. Just make sure to leave the hacksaw inside the cake.
Inside the cake. That's a classic mistake.
Yes,
just people leave it on top,
and that's just a problem.
Yeah, and people try to eat that, and that's not good for you. Or you can also support us at Patreon. Patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. You get access to a live streamed episode every month, which is happening next week. Actually, it'll be
Wednesday. Actually, it'll be the day this episode comes out. So nope,
it'll be tonight.
Which I just realized we'll have to do like another a message or something.
I make one little change, and my mom got scared. No, I make one little change to the show format, and anyway, but yeah, it'll be this week. So we'll have information about that on Facebook. You also get access to prequel episodes where a day before the episodes come out on Patreon, little tidbits of me and Pernell chatting and sort of getting together.
Sometimes they're boring. Sometimes they're not boring.
Sometimes they're about the episode. Sometimes they're about life.
Sometimes they're about how to fit 5 melons inside of a bag without having to get a second bag at the grocery store, right? Because they don't do plastic anymore, which is good, but also challenging to adapt to.
Yeah. You gotta work at that.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta get them guns, the arm muscles guns to lift the melons.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where that was going. And anyway, patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. Get access to all that fun stuff, all those silly jokes, and we'd like to thank you all. This track is going insane in the background.
It's great.
It is wild. We like to give a shout out to all of our Patreon members at the end of every episode. We'd like to thank That Nick Walker, Mike Myers, new Patreon member Johan Perez, Andreas Milberg, Dan Loughton, Phantom Jest, Steve Miller, The Autistic Gamer 89, Cameron Werma, Christopher Shenstrom, Bobby Arson from One Up Funk, Wicked Sephiroth, OK Impala, Carlos Kung Fu Carlito of the Heroes 3 podcast, which we got to have on the show soon.
Yes, we do.
Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version podcast.
Gotta have him on soon.
What's that?
Gotta have him on.
Gotta have him on there. Brian Pitt, Chris Murray, Hammock from KVGM, The Last Wave, a very groovy video game music podcast.
Over ice.
Check them out. Absolutely check them out. It's got a fantastic show. We have Bruce Irons from the Mad Gear.
I feel like I need to just start submitting, donating to his show because I want to get on that reel he does.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I said I come up with a cool name for myself.
Yeah, join the Mad Gear's Patreon. I'm sure it's patreon.com/themadgearband.
Brickstructor.
They're the toughest band around. I want to thank Ed Wilson from the VG Embassy. I think I'll be guesting on a show in the next month or two.
Ooh, what's the topic?
It's going to be a blind listen. So I don't know. No one knows the game. We just have the soundtrack, and we have to guess what it's going to be.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So I'm excited about that. So that's happening very soon. I can't tell you exactly when that's coming out. Alexander Proudfoot, Davy Cakes, The Dude, The Last Weekend, Bedroth, Kitsurito, another new Patreon member, Soulless Sanctuary, Mix6 Master, Damian Beckles, Joe Vasallo, Chris Tienerson, Alex the Messenger, I still don't know that guy, and David Smith.
Hi-yo.
How you doing, David? Thank you all very much for your continued support of the show and encouraging us to keep doing what we're doing, which is this.
Being wacky.
Being podcast people.
Being perfectly punctual and pert.
Yeah, you're all in our family. You're all in our circle.
It gets complicated, though, when it's time to deal out Christmas presents. So
It is.
I just know that we don't do presents in this house.
I mean, I'm not saying some of you act like children, but there's the kiddie table, and there's only so much room. So some of you are going to have to sit at the kiddie table.
But on the positive, the kiddie table, you're allowed to play board games and not look like a putz there.
Yeah, you're allowed to eat with your fingers.
That's right.
Yeah, you get.
But don't get Cheeto dust all my stuff.
Yeah, we do have problems with Cheeto dust. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
You're always wonderful people, and we appreciate you.
And we'll see you next week
At
on
StacyCon 94.
I was looking for that episode on Disney Plus for that Simpsons episode.
I honestly wish I could remember that too. I just know the sketch, but I don't remember what episode it was. Like the number is, I think it might be the one where they released the new Malibu Stacy doll, or they went to the factory because it was like
it was at least Lisa Lionheart.
I think that's what it was. It was like,
yeah.
where the number one Malibu Stacy fan in Springfield, Waylon Smithers.
And I'll see you.
StacyCon 94.
Anyway, thanks to everyone for listening. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
See you next week.
And remember, be your best at best whenever you can. Because as corny as it may sound, you'd be surprised how many people you can find that you motivate or inspire just by being your wacky-tacky self. So, in some respects, it might be tough to do that. It might be a little tired, might be a little frustrated. Things might be just bugging you. You never know what it is. But give your best to people. You don't have to see all the rough stuff. Because in the end, if it brings a positive change to others, then you're still in a way doing your part to assist those folks. Which in turn will also make you feel better. Which means just keep freaking doing it. Be inspirational. Don't be spirational.
Don't be perspirational.
Yeah, that's just stinky.